everyone! I cannot tell you how excited I am to have you in this group. I wanted to go over a few things here on the first day and explain why I made this group, who I am, why I love coaching, and why I think you can do it as well. So a while ago, I realized that there's a significant amount of interest in Beachbody coaching. However, that interest comes with a lot of questions, a lot of misconceptions. I think a lot of people are just like, what? So I wanted to kind of delve into that and give you a little bit more information about what Beachbody coaching is. You know, people ask me, what do you even do? Do I have to sell things? What is happening? So first, I just want to ease your fears. You do not have to be a fitness expert to be a Beachbody coach. You don't need to know about nutrition. You have to have a desire to learn, but you don't have to know everything. You don't even need to know about fitness, to be quite honest. You don't need to be a sales genius. You don't need to have a ton of friends. When I started in this business, I had just taken a year hiatus from Facebook, a whole year. And when I came back, I had under 200 friends. So that's where I was when I started this business. But despite all of that, I was able to launch my business successfully from day one. And I can teach you all of the things that I did to be successful at the beginning of my business. And these are all things that I think will help you to be successful from day one in your business. So let me shed a little bit of light on where I was when I decided to be a coach. I have to go kind of far back, but I promise it's all pertinent. So when I was 15 years old, I got really, really sick and I almost died. I was in bed for 2 months. I was miserable. I had the highest fever that I got was 106 degrees. That day was Father's Day, and I remember my dad had me in his truck, and he laid my head down on his lap, and I looked up at the speedometer on his truck, and he was going over 100 miles per hour, rushing to get to the emergency room because he was so worried about me. And through all of that, I was misdiagnosed several times, and the medicine that my doctor had me taking took a huge toll on my body. It actually made the problem worse, and I almost died. The doctors told my parents to prepare themselves for my death. I mean, I have a son, and I cannot imagine the doctors telling me that there's a chance that he could die. I mean, I can't even imagine what my parents went through in that time, but thank the Lord, I am still alive. I'm so thankful for that. But despite that, I have struggled with a lot of health issues since that time. So, and the issues are specifically in my organs, in my stomach. So it's not just fatigue or soreness or anything. It's pretty serious stuff. It's pretty big bummer, and it was a huge, huge struggle for a long time. So fast forward a few years, and I got married at 20 years of age. I was 20 years old, and I got married. And although I do believe that I was ready to be a wife, and I adore my husband, I was completely unprepared for the toll ministry could take on a newly married couple. When I married my husband, I think I underestimated the role that he played at the church that we were going to attend when we moved. And I went from being a 20-year-old, just doing the things that 20-year-olds do, to basically an assistant pastor's wife. And I was unprepared for that. And I let that take a huge toll on my mindset. I let that take a huge toll on my happiness, and I started to get depressed, and I started to doubt my decision. It was very, very difficult. And then in 2014, my husband and I went through some unimaginable loss. We lost a baby, and it affected us both very negatively. I remember he was working so hard. The one night that he had off during the week, I had a responsibility that night. And so literally 7 nights a week, we were apart from each other. We worked in the same building. I was the music director and he was the Bible teacher in a school where we both worked, but we never saw each other. And our hours were completely opposite. And so I found myself just going home and being alone. And all of my friends attended the young adults group that we were leading, and so I couldn't open up to them about it, or I felt like I couldn't, and I ended up just pushing everybody in my life away. I was so lonely, and I think that it was because I was disappointed and disillusioned with how my life turned out, how my life was turning out. I didn't expect to be so busy. I didn't expect life to be so crazy. It was such a dark time in my life, and all of that anxiety and that stress led to a lot of flare-ups with my stomach issues. So one of the conditions that I've developed from the problems when I was a teenager is called gastroesophageal reflux disease. Basically, my esophagus doesn't close, and then since I have anxiety, my body's response to anxiety is to just fill my stomach up with acid. So since my esophagus doesn't close, the acid burns my esophagus, and it was incredibly painful. And there were weeks at a time where I couldn't eat solid food. I remember sitting across the table from my husband and just bursting into tears at a date because the food came out and I looked at it and I said, I can't eat that. I can't do it. And I quickly realized that I needed a meal replacement that was actually food. I was drinking something else and I looked at the ingredient list and I was like, I cannot continue to put this in my body. It's just not going to work. So I started doing some research and I found Shakeology. And I was very scared of the price tag. And so I said, my stomach problems are fine. I will be fine. I don't need Shakeology. And I look back at that decision and I kick myself. And I can't believe how ridiculous I was, because since then, Shakeology has completely taken away these problems. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but I have not had a single flare-up since 2 weeks into drinking Shakeology, not a single one. Whereas before, at least 1 week out of every month, I couldn't eat solid food. I couldn't eat solid food, you guys. I can't even stress what an amazing difference this has made in my life. So, anyways, I was afraid of the price tag of Shakeology. It wasn't worth it to me to get that whole food nutrition in my diet. It wasn't worth it. I don't know why. But eventually I took a year hiatus from Facebook at that point. And when I came back onto Facebook, I saw my friend Nicolette sharing about her experience with PiYo and Shakeology. And even though I was intrigued, I was like, yeah, I could never do that. Never. There's no way. That's not me. I'm, annoyed by all of the smiling coaches I see on social media. No, this is not for me. But at the same time, I couldn't deny the results that she was getting. I was going to the gym for 2 hours, 6 days a week. No joke. I would run on the treadmill for 45 minutes, and then I would lift for at least an hour, and then I would get on the stair stepper for another 30 minutes. It was a huge time commitment, not to mention the travel back and forth. And I was not getting results. I was counting calories obsessively and not getting results. And here I see Nicolette doing 20 to 30-minute workouts in her living room with bare feet. She doesn't have to leave her house. She doesn't have to put shoes on if she doesn't want to. And she's getting these insane results. And so I was like, okay, enough is enough. I'm just going to reach out and see where this goes. Because I was going to the gym for hours a day, and she was looking ripped, not to mention she had just had a baby. So I was convinced. I just said, I'm going to give it a try. So I have to just say at this point that I never intended to dive into the business. I planned on trying Shakeology for a month. I signed up for the discount off the bat because I figured, why wouldn't I want to save money? But I had already decided that I wasn't going to be able to afford it after the first month. I was one of those people who never finished programs, so I figured I would try it for a month and be done with it. But when I joined my first challenge group and I plugged into these communities, I loved the community. I loved the positivity. I loved that, women were supporting women. And when I would have a hard day, I knew that I could go in there and say I'm having a hard day and receive the encouragement and the motivation that I needed. I knew that those people in that group cared about me and they wanted to see me succeed. And I couldn't deny the results that I was getting. I was not starving myself, whereas before I was obsessive about calories. I wasn't counting calories at all. I was just eating good food, drinking Shakeology every day, and doing short workouts that I actually enjoyed. Like, I hated going to the gym. I hate running. The first time I ever ran 7 miles without stopping, I was like, done. No more running for me. I'm done with this. But I was doing 20-minute workouts and getting these insane results. I was literally obsessed. So after that first challenge group, I just decided, you know what? I could do this. Like, I could run a challenge group. It would be more accountability for me. It would be fun. I could, help the people in my life who I know are struggling with these same problems get some results. It'll be great, I figured that it was the perfect outlet for me to encourage other people, to engage with other people, to maybe build up some of those friendships that I had walked away from because of the struggles in my life. And the thing about the challenge group is that I saw a bigger transformation on the inside than even on the outside. I was able to do all of this at home while prioritizing my family, while trying to get my marriage under control and trying to spend more time with my husband. I wasn't spending those 2 hours at the gym anymore. I was spending those with my husband. So I seriously felt like a new person. And not only now can I contribute to my family, not only am I home, not only am I not even having to work outside of the home, but I've worked hard and I've replaced my income as a full-time music director. My husband is super proud of me. My husband is just incredibly supportive. We actually see each other now. He comes home from work and we're together, and my cup overflows with every single message I receive from another woman thanking me for sharing my story and inspiring her to take better care of herself. This is an incredibly, incredibly fulfilling way to spend my life. So now you know a bit more about me and my story, and I want to hear about you. I love it if you share a little bit about yourself in the comments. Feel free to include as much or as little as you want. There's no pressure here. Maybe you want to delve a little into your why, into why you want to work from home, into why you've been considering coaching as a career, or why you want to join a challenge group. What are some of the goals you have for your family? What do you see yourself accomplishing in this business? What are your physical goals? What does your day look like? I just want to get to know a little bit more about you and kind of figure out where you're at in all of this. So I can't wait to read what you have to say. I can't wait to get to know you a little bit more, and I cannot wait to delve into the content of this group. I think it's going to be a huge blessing to all of us. So have a good day, and I can't wait to read your comments below.